just to get a flying start on what we have to do today. We're up to the third line from the bottom. Kesumchus. Okay, Kesumchus Damar Afa Pisha Neva Yesh Bichol Mechira. Actually, I should go back before that to the question which we had yesterday. The Gemara had asked yesterday, what's a case where you have Tvicha without a preceding Gneva, right? Where you slaughtered it before without a preceding Gneva, which is really the question you asked me yesterday. So the Gemara says one possibility is if you go take a look at the fifth line from the bottom, there's no preceding Gneva. The principle you have Toyin Tanis Ganav, right? He lied on the oath, and then he slaughtered. That's one way in which Tvicha precedes actual Gneva, or you have Tvicha without Gneva. You slaughtered the animal while it was crouching, though you didn't ever actually stole it. That says more of the Eish Tvicha below Gneva. Is there such a thing? Is there Tvicha without? It says below Mechira, but it should be Tvicha below Gneva. Is there Tvicha without Gneva? Says Marias Kesumchos Damar Apo Bishen Gneva Yesh Tvicha Mechira. So most holds that even though there's no Gneva, there is Tvicha Mechira. Now, of course, according to Sumchos, let me read the next line, which is where we're up to really. Shmuel Amar B'shalobo Eidei Gneva Avolibo Eidei Tvicha Chayev. Now, I would take out the word im. I can leave it in, but it's better for me if I take out the word im. Shmuel is really going along the lines of Sumchos. He says B'shalobo Eidei Gneva Avolibo Eidei Tvicha Chayev. What's the case where you can be Chayev all darb arba chamisha, the whole thing on the tvicha alone, without Gneva preceding? Sumchos said there's such a metzias, right? What's such a metzias? So one of them is where the metzias is where you did tvicha mechira, and there was no prior Gneva, right? Such as where you slaughtered it when it was already crouching on the ground, right? Well, while it was still crouching on the ground, so there was no act of Gneva. And Shmuel says, what's such a, you have such a case really even without you have such a case even without the metzias being different. In other words, even if you actually move the animal, but the Eidim never came on the Gneva, but Eidim came on Tvicha Mechira. So that's enough to be Chayav Arba Chamisha on the Tvicha Mechira itself, even without the Gneva. Okay, that's the case that you're talking about. So it says, Marish Shlokish says, interesting halacha. So guys saw Eidei Gneva. It's really not talking about a Shomer anymore. It's just talking about Stam the Velta, right? You know, we're talking about how being Chayav Arba Chamisha, not necessarily about Shomer as we were last night. Raw Eidei Gneva boy. You saw Eidei Gneva coming. V'amar Gonafti, and he quickly concedes, I stole. Now, of course, he wants to get out of paying kefil, because if he commits it, he gets out of paying kefil. Since his admission is next to nothing, because the Eidim were about to come, here it says Potter, but it should be according to Moshe Chayev. Which is interesting, I think it's a Chiddush, I don't think it's in the Bavli. That even if he conceded, if his confession was in the face of an impending prosecution, then that confession is meaningless. Okay? So therefore he still is Chayev Kefil. Now, on the other hand, turn the page, Raw Eidei Tvicha boy. If you saw Eidei Tvicha coming, for Amar, now I want to change the girsa here. I don't let Pnei Moshe change the girsa a lot, that's why you have parentheses here on the page, rarity in the Yerushalmi, but I don't like his changes, I want to change it differently. So I want to say, Raw Eidei Tvicha boy. You see, however, Eidei Tvicha coming. Varman, you said, Gonavti. I want to change it from Tavakti to Gonavti. And you say, I stole it. Then that confession is meaningful. Even though we said in Amar Aleph that Eidim could come and say you were Tavech U'Moich and you could be Chayav all of Arba Chamisha on the basis of those Eidim, that's a Chiddush. L'maisa, for you to confess in the face of Eidim we're about to say Tavachti, that you stole it is a significant confession. And Mirachar She'ein B'Diyosa and Mamish, since they don't know that really, they don't know Gneva. They're not going to testify in Gneva. It can be inferred from what they're saying, but they're not testifying. So therefore, potter, therefore your confession makes you potter. Makes sense. Right? It's a meaningful confession. Hi, we will derive the conclusion from their statement that you stole it, but since it's a derivation, it's not part of their statement, so therefore your confession at this point is still meaningful, and therefore you do get off the hook of kefil via your confession. Okay?
So he just pays Karen?
Just pays Karen, right. Because he confessed on Gneva before anybody could come and testify of Gneva, and before we could derive from somebody else's testimony that he stole it. Okay?
Like, not going to trial, but having a plea bargain.
Right, it's a plea bargain, similar idea, right? Of course, not similar to modern one, but it's a similar idea. Rabbi Tzera asked, turning our attention from theft to rape. Raw ede onsin boim. Rapist sees the witnesses for onus are coming, right? Of course, the main payment by rape is a fine. There also is payment if you cause her anguish or cause her, medical bills, but the main payment is a fine. So raw ede onsin boim. If he sees witnesses on a rape coming, V'amrei said anasti, he quickly concedes the rape. So then, what's the story? So Amr Chayna said, Masnisa Krabi Shimon. The Bryson, I'm not sure what Bryson is referring to, if any. I think he's actually referring back to Rabbi Zera. But not essential for us to know which Bryson he's talking about. Amr Chanina Masnisa Krabi Shimon Damar Ikat Fia Knas. If you hold like Rabbi Shimon, I guess, now I think it's actually the Mishnah in Ksuvas, or Shavuos Bikadon, I don't remember where it is, somewhere, famous Shavuos Bikadon. The Mishnah says, according to Rabbi Shimon, or rather, the Mishnah according to Rabbi Shimon holds that Ikar Tfiyah is Knas. The primary, when the rape victim's father comes to claim the money, he claims primarily for the Knas, not primarily for the monetary damages, but rather punitive damages, right? So if you hold Ikar Kfir Knas, can be shamed by the Oso Mamish. So then, when he sees the witnesses coming, he knows the witnesses are about to say you're liable to Knas, and therefore ain't by the Oso Mamish. Therefore, his Odaya is meaningless because it's in the face of an imminent prosecution, and therefore the Pnei Moshe changed the gears. It should be v'chayav. He's liable for the Knas. Why? Again, the same like Neva. If he sees Eidik Neva coming and he confesses as they're coming, we say confession is meaningless, still chayav kefil. So if he sees rape witnesses coming, he confesses in the face of those witnesses and pending testimony, so he's still chayav. Rabbanan say any kartfiyah knas. They say the primary claim of the rape victim's parents is not the knas, but rather the monetary obligation, which is the pagam, the nezek, the tsar, the ripui, whatever it is. So therefore, so therefore, vis-a-vis the knas, his confession is significant, and therefore, again, the Pnei Moshe's change should be potter, because so it's a little bit of a chiddush here, actually a big chiddush. Whether his confession is considered significant to get him off the hook is contingent on what the witnesses are going to come to be mechayev him. The witnesses are going to come to be mechayev him knas, then his confession is meaningless and he's still chayev knas. If the witness is going to be mechayev him money, then his confession on the knas will exempt him from paying the knas. Okay? Halacha daled. Amar l'shoyel. If you said, finally this Masechta comes to an end. It seems like it took forever. Amar l'shoyel. You say to a borrower, Eichon shor, where's my ox? Amar lo meis. He says, it died. Now he's liable anyway. It doesn't matter. He's died. Unless it died machmas malacha, which is not the case here, he's liable. Busha nishbar, the end it broke. O nishba was taken captive. O nignab was stolen. O avad or was lost. Nishba or he took an oath that was nishba, that it was taken captive. Busha meis, and it died. O nishbar or broke. O nignab or was stolen. O avad or was lost. He's still liable, no matter what. Nignab, he took an oath that it was stolen. Vushamei, so nishba, avad. Avad, you get the idea. Vushamei, so nishba, nignab. Mashbiachani, all these things, the owner made him take a shvuah. Don't ask me why. Because what difference does it make if he takes a shvuah or not, right? What is going to say why, actually? Varmar Amen, he says yes. right? He takes the false oath, potter. Now, of course, what is he chayiv on? It's not chayiv Shavuos Bikodim, but what Shavuos he chayiv on? Shavuos Bitui, right? Bitui, right? Of course, according to Man Norma, Shavuos Bitui. It's in the past, so he's liable according to Rabbi Akiva. Armalo, at least that we should remember from the Sechler Shavuos, right? Armalo Echan Shori says, "Where's my ox?" Armalo Echan Shori, he says, "Where's my ox?" Armalo Eni Adem Atasach. I don't know what you're talking about. Vushemes. Now, in this case, he's trying to get him off the hook, because the show in this case is trying to deny the borrowing altogether, right? Oh, that's a different story. And he says, I'm not talking about Vushemes, Nishba, Nignav, Oavad, Mashbiachani, Vamar Amen. In this case, he's Chaya, because he did not try to deny the Bikoran altogether. He said to a borrower, or to a paid watchman, or to a renter. He said it died. Nishbar was actually broken. Nishba. Now these are things which get him off the hook, right? Nishba Vushemei said that they actually met another fate. Still gets him off the hook. Nishbar. He says it was broken. Vushemei so Nishba. Now all those things get him off the hook, right? Those are all alternatives which get him off the hook. And he took an oath on something which should have gotten him off the hook, even though it's not exactly which actually occurred. And vice versa, Niknav. If he says it was stolen, Vushav, and it was actually lost, and a Shomer Sachar is Chayv G'nei Abeda. So he doesn't actually change again the nature of his Chiyuv. Avad Vushaganav, and all these cases, whether it's an alternate reason for Chiyuv or alternate reason for Ptur, Mashbiachani v'Amar Amen, if he said take an oath, and he takes an oath, part to the guy's exempt. Meis, because he didn't change. But Meis, so Nishba, Nishba, if he says it was the died was broken or was taken captive, and reality it was actually lost or stolen, then he's trying to get himself off the hook. Illicitly. In that case he took a false shvur, chayiv is liable. If on the other hand it was actually lost or stolen, but this Shomer Sachar claimed, even though he could have got, he claimed he should have actually been potter, because it was Nishbar Omes, but he, foolishly enough, claimed it was stolen or lost, and he took an oath to that. So the oath he took is actually mechayev him, right? It's actually mechayev him, this oath. It doesn't make him potter, it makes him chayev, right? So he's actually being machmir on himself, right? So even though he's lying, Potter is still exempt. Why is that? Because that cloud called Nishba Lahakal Atzmo Chayev. Anybody to shvur to make the liability less is liable. Lachmir Latzmo Potter. If he makes a shvur to make himself be more machmir, he is Potter. Tani, we learned. Now I'm going to learn this like the Ridbaz, which is the exact opposite of Pnei Moshe, but okay, that's life. Tani Lo Lakev Lo Lachmir Patur. The Ridbaz says Potter. What if he took a lateral oath? He's not Mekel and not Machmir, so he's Potter. Because that's what our Mishnah says. Our Mishnah says if you took a lateral oath, you're Potter. So the Gear says the Pnei Moshe struggles with the Gear says this is in front of us in the Gemara, but it's clearly incorrect. Rabbi said, this is our Mishnah, right? All the previous Mishnah, it's Armel Shoyel, Armel Shomer Chinam, Armel Socher, Vasocher, Eichan Shori, Armel Meis, right? It's always, we're always going lateral. We're saying by all lateral cases you're exempt. This is all the previous Mishnahs. Past Mishnahs have evinced this point. Ma'u Shomer, an interesting conclusion in Masechta. Ma'u Shomer, can you say to the Shoyel, he has to pay anyway, but you say to him, I want you to take an oath he didn't give. You didn't look at it to steal it. Why should can he? What's the Avamina? Is he paying no matter what? Says the Gemara, no. But Mao Yemar Le, the Afilu Dat Yoev Le Kama. So very good for Purim Maltadis, so we make the shiur tomorrow night. Mao Yemar Le Afilu Dat Yoev Le Kama. He wants to say, I know you're going to pay me, but I really want the Diana Boy Kabach. I really want my thing back. In other words, the issue is not so much whether he's going to pay. You don't want the restitution. You really would want your animal back. So therefore, the Shilas, can you make him take a shvua so that he himself did not actually, the animal's not here. You want to find out what happened. just in order to clarify if there's any way you can get the animal back and something nefarious happened or not. So the Gemara is entertaining a very logical habit, which of course the Gemara does not resolve, that you should have the right to make him take that Shavuos. Okay?
Well, we had that similar where you takes the shiur, he makes the shiur whether he had in the mind.
Yeah, but that's by Yerushalmi Chinam where he's potter. We're talking about a guy who's chayav, a shol is chayav anyway, can make a take Shavuos despite the fact he's going to pay you. That's what the issue is. Okay, so it's similar, but not quite the same. I feel that you have kama. Even if you give me a lot of money, kama kesef, kama didi on a boy l'gabach. I want that which is mine, which is by you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's Shavuos for you. That class should have been about 5 nights ago. Yeah. Okay. Too bad. That's life. That's true. What can I tell you? I don't write it, I just report it. Okay, everybody say, as of right now, exactly now, 135 blot left. I counted. 135. Okay. By the way, Kate said Eidim Nasi Zoymin. Makkos, Daf Aleph on base. Aleph on Raf. What? Well, we'll see how it goes. Kate said Eidim Nasi Zoymin. No, it's not 2 nights. Kate said Eidim Nasi Zoymin. Mirza Shem Monday night I'm going to try, regardless my schedule, it has me coming back on time to say shiur, and regardless, I'm going to try and probably stand by early Monday morning, if I can. Kate said Nasim Zayman. He is coming in? Oh, yeah? Okay. But I have to go after shiur. What? Sunday. This is New York. I have no real reason to go to New York now except to buy a frock, so, I don't know, maybe that's it. You want me to get you one while I'm there? Alright, says the Gemara first, says the Gemara. Says the Mishnah. Keitzad Eidim Nasim Zoman. How do witnesses become, I don't understand how everybody can't have a time to have a frock. It's my biggest time in the world, I don't know. Okay, says the Gemara further. Keitzad, what? No, Balbati wear Hamburgs now. The Rav Gifter never wore Hamburgs. Okay, Keitzad Nasim Zoman. How do witnesses become Eidim Zoymin? Meet him on the beach, Ploinish, who ben Grusha, ben Chalutza. Of course, Makkos, like all of them, begins with an oblique case, not the true case of Eidim Zoymin, right? You wouldn't expect that. Just like it begins with the Fane Nechtam, not how to write again, so to Eidim Zoymin. We don't begin with the real case of Eidim Zoymin. We begin with a case which is not Eidim Zoymin, or rather Eidim Zoymin not. Meet him on the beach, Plonish, ben Grusha, ben Chalutza. We testify about a certain Kohen. There's ben Grusha, ben Chalutza. Ein says that ben Grusha, ben Chalutza tachtav. We don't say, let the witness become ben Grusha, ben Chalutza in lieu of this individual. He can't, right? As the Gemara will say. Elo like our boy, we just flog him 40 lashes. So there's no kasher zamam in this case. We just flog him, and when in doubt, flog. Similarly, meet him on the beach, we testified so-and-so killed inadvertently and should go into Golus to Ir Miklot. We don't say this guy goes instead, and like our boy, he gets flogged. We testify that Yankel divorced his wife and didn't give her a ksuva. Maybe today or tomorrow he's going to have to give the ksuva anyway, right? Because maybe he'll divorce or die, in which case he's give the ksuva. So whether he cause him to lose, and do we reckon how much somebody would pay on the open market for this ksuva today on a speculative basis? Shimni Salman on these Garsha, if she gets widowed or divorced, be Mesa, she'll get it. Be Mesa, and if of course she predeceases her husband, you shed a bala. So they pay to him the speculative value of the ksuva. Okay? And more in the Bavli, it speaks about much greater length than Yerushalmi, but Yerushalmi will speak about it. Not greater length, more complexity. Maybe Esachina said, Hakol Ayah Lo Sana Bre'achoy Shoker. There's one overarching prohibition in the Torah, one of the 10 commandments. Do not respond with false testimony against your friend. Okay? So for that, according to the Mandorma, the Lav Shein Bo Maisa Like in a love, what should you get for that? Makkos, right? So an exclusion of that is the pasuk much later in Torah, where it says, you should do to the guy like he plotted to for brother. And when he could do kasher zamam, everybody changed gisser here. But going it should be einat mekayim bo lo sana. In other words, lo sana you would get Makkos for. But when you can do kasher zamam, you don't do lo sana. Similarly, veshe'enat yochol mekayim bo v'asisin lo kasher zamam, when there is no penalty of kasher zamam, v'asis lo achiv, then again everybody changes gisser at mekayim bo lo sana briacho. In that case, you do lo sana, which means it's either Makkos or kasher zamam, not both. Okay, is that clear? Either or. Because it says the Gemara...
It's only a full situation. If you can't do kasher zamam, then it has to be Makkos.
Right.
This is secondary if you can't do
Kasher zamam, that's right. That's what we're saying. Okay? Davar, another interpretation. Now, a lot of people take out this Davar, but because it really doesn't fit in here. It's, but anyway, we'll leave it in. Davar, vasisem lo zaru. Why by Ben Grusha, when he testifies says Ben Grusha Ben Chalutza, can you not make the 8 Zami of Ben Grusha Ben Chalutza? Because you'd be doing it not just him, but to his kids after him. It says, Vasisam lo, the penalty can only befall him, not his children. Isn't it probably too? Shuman Levi says, interesting expansion of that principle. Or rather, an interesting explanation of that principle. Vasisam lo, you should do to him. That means Shnei Dvar Mesula Basin, when Basin has two choices. One is to passel him and passel his kids, and the other is to give Makkos. So from Lo below Lazara, we learn out that we only do one of them. Which one do we do? What? Makkos, right. Why? Because Asisim Lo Lazara includes that option, so what we do is instead the Makkos. Now, it's interesting the way the Mashbiach learns it, that he's learning where the Shbiach explains, where does Yerushalmi Levi know that you don't do 2 sets of Makkos, or that you don't do Makkos and kasher zama, right? Right? How does he know that? So he says the way he wants to learn. Although the truth is, you might have to say this according to the previous Gemara too, according to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina, because Rabbi Yossi Chanina doesn't make it clear. Oh, I see. Okay, now I wasn't clear myself. This makes it clear. Yosef says you don't do both because it says vasisem lo. Vasisem lo means do the low superfluous. Kodesh said vasisem kasher tzazam lasos lachiv. Obviously you're doing it to him. Who do you think you're doing it to? Do it to line 8. So vasisem lo he learns means you only do one thing to him. Only one thing. Was that either lo sana or kasher zama? But Rabbi Shuman Levi learns out according to the Mashbiach. He learns out that you do only one thing from Kedei Rishoso. It's famous drasha. Kedei Rishoso mishum risha achas atam mechayvo v'yatam mechayvo mishum shtei rishuyos. You only give him one penalty, not a double penalty. Okay, that's famous drasha. It appears in the Bible. Probably elsewhere in the Yerushalmi, maybe even on the base. I don't remember. But in any event, Lemaisa. So what does Rabbi Shuman Levi do with vasisem lo? So he learns out vasisem lo v'lo lazaro. And that means that where you have the opportunity of giving 2 penalties, one of them is Makkos, and the other is to passel him as an individual. Asisem lo v'lo lazara tells us the penalty to be delivered is the one in Makkos, not the one with passel him, because then you would have to passel his kids, and you don't have the right to passel his kids. Okay? So it says the Gemara, again, Shnei Dvar Mesula Basin, base has 2 options. You take one of them, and Yotza Davar Shumosel Shemayim, and it precludes the thing which actually taps into Shemayim. I mean, it's true, Basin would ban the Ben Grusha Ben Chalutza, but then in fact you'd be tampering with something which is Mosel Shemayim, which means, it's hard to define what Mosel Shemayim means, but you'd be tampering with his kids, right? With his kids' status. I don't even know if that's the word to use, but it's muscle based into passel him, but then it'll also be tampering in what his halacha is vis-a-vis HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That they really don't have a right to do. What they have a right to do is to say, we'll give you Makkos. But to tamper with your status, that really basically you cannot do. Certainly not as a penalty.
You're predetermining his future.
Right, it's something to that effect, right? Which is like tampering in the Shemayim. It's a little bit unclear what exactly the Gemara meant to say, but that's basically that gist. Okay, see, it says, it says a Kohen should not defile his children in his nation. Only know his children are defiled. This is off on the tangent, clearly, it's talking about Kohanim. That he defiles. Yeah, but we'll come back up to our Surya. He asked me now, how we know that the woman with whom we had relations becomes defiled by having had deal with him. But it's a logic. My mazera shelo avera. If the kids who never transgress any avera, hareu mischalel, those kids become chalolim through the Kohen's consorting with a grusha. He shav avera. She who did commit avera. It's not logic. She become mechuleles, or she commit avera. So of course she should become a chalolim. If the innocent kids become chalolim, certainly she herself should become a chalolim, right? Says Gemara, no, lo yimartem beish who atzmo. Sorry, prove it from the Kohen himself. Shav avera and mischalel. Kohen committed the avera and he gets off scot free. So maybe she gets off scot free as well, right? Temporarily, only if he's married to her. If he has consorts with a divorcee who's not married to him, so he's only possible avoided when he actually does bia. It's not possible avoided the moment he separates from her. Okay, he might have to go to the mikveh, wait for Arab Shemesh, but there's no inherent prohibition, right? So he goes scot-free. So it's more loy martin b'ishen mischala become makom. No, it's different. A man never becomes a cholo. No such thing as a man as a cholo unless he's born a cholo, right? But a man can never become a cholo. He has to be either a CFB or he's not a cholo at all. But there's no such thing as a BC, Baal cholo. What? No, he has to be a CFB, right? A man can only be a CFB. Can't become a BC. Okay, so it says Gemara, as opposed to Torah Isha, she mischales b'chomakom, right? A woman, there are all sorts of ways for her to become possible to have relations with a guy, etc. Logic is that she becomes close. If you don't like my kavachomer, in other words, you want to learn because you want to say, well, maybe only kids become possible because kids are CFB. Maybe a woman does become possible. How do you know that? We don't like your limud because it's sufficient to learn out like those things from which it's being learned out because the kids themselves were born bipsul. Maybe you have to be born bipsul in order to become a cholo. How do you know the woman becomes chalola? Says I'll tell you, we have another drush up our sleeve. It could have said lo yachul. Now the way the Carbon Ada reads it, it could be lo yachel. With a single, without the buff. Because it said lo yachel zaro. Why does it say extra lamed? Lo yachalel. Amishir kosher v'nischalel. So even somebody who was kosher previously can become cholo, and it was that not the kids, but rather the wife or the mistress, whoever she is. Bar Padoya Amar. Bar Padoya said. Now Bar Padoya is going back to our mission. Why we say ben grusha ben chalutza? Why don't we make the Adam ben grusha ben chalutzas? The man who has relations with a divorcee, he himself does become cholo. How can you make an aid a cholo? If the guy who participates directly in avera does become a cholo, how can we do a cholo? We're open the window. Okay, it's really hot. Anyway, so says the Gemara. Now Adam Shizdamu. Now the truth is, everybody fetches here. Everybody's grave difficulty with this because the Bavli seems to argue, the Yerushalmi seems to argue the Bavli, and the Gears here it's clearly messed up. So I had several options here, none of them pleasant. I'm going to learn like the Shai Torah Eretz Yisrael, even though he changes a lot Kedarko Bakodesh. And the way he learns, let me read you what he says. Instead of the next two lines, he has Eidim Shehu Chashu V'Achakach Nizmemu. This is still in the Bavli as well. Eidim first clash with each other. In other words, Ruvain and Shimon say that X murdered Y. And Laban and Yehuda say X did not murder Y. So they're Chashu, right? Then another set of Eidim comes says to Ruvain and Shimon, you were with us elsewhere. So at the end they became Eidim Zomri. So it's a Choshet Chilas Zoma or not? That's the classic question in the Bavli. There's a chosha initiate the process of some and later they become Eidim Zomim. Once they're muchashiv, they're already in disrepute and therefore they can't become Eidim Zomim later on, and there's never going to be kasher Zomam against them. Okay, that's the question. So Eidim Shuchashu V'achar Nizmemu. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Nerogin. Rabbi Yochanan says they're killed. You don't have this in your Gemara. Rabbi Loz Amar Ein Nerogin. Loz says they're not killed. Okay, all that is instead of the Gemara, which you have in front of you till the next line, till Rabbi Yochanan appears again. Okay? Rabbi Yochanan Amar. Rabbi Yochanan says, Sheker, Sheker. There's a Gzeir Shava of Sheker, Sheker. It's interesting, the Gzeir Shava. It says, and this is again according to Shar Teres Yisrael, the Hekish is that at Shmos, it says, Lo Sana Bre'achayit Sheker. That's one place where it says Sheker. And it says also by Eidim Zomim, V'nei Eid Sheker Ano Ba'achiv. Okay? So both places use the word Sheker. So it makes a Gzeir Shava. Lo Sana Bre'achayit Sheker means even when it's a case of Achosha, right? Even if you're lying, you transgress this of Lo Sana, even if you're not yet proven to be an Eid Zomim, right? Any lie is considered to be Lo Sana Bre'achayit Sheker. Even a lie which is not Eid Zomim is somebody who was never there. And Eid Muchash could be somebody who was there and just said the wrong thing, right? So that's an Eid Muchash. He might be, but nevertheless, he's lying, right? So he gets so he's transgressed Lo Sana Bre'achayit Sheker. So Rabbi Yochanan learns that since there's a parallel in between the Sheker and the Aseres and the Sheker by Eid Zomim, so it means even if they're Muchash L'Besof Muzam, there's a penalty of Eidim Zomim, which is like Rabbi Yochanan says in the Bavli. Rabbi Lezamar Russia. It says no. It says Russia twice. Nema Russia Mechuyim Misa says Russia by people who are liable to death penalty. And Nema Russia Mechuyim Makkos says Russia by people who are liable to flogging. An interesting drasha here. I don't like it, but there's not much I can do about it. Ma Russia Shnamar. I'm going to switch everything around because that's the way the Shar Teres Yisrael does it. And the truth is, Yerushalmi does the same thing, and I don't need. They're both dachuk, but they both do the same thing, so they must be right. So he says, it says Rosh Mechuyve Mitzvos, the Nema Rosh Mechuyve Makkos. Ma Rosh Shemar Mechuyve Makkos. Okay, change the gear. So Russia, it says Russia by a guy who gets flogged. So in that case, Ein Momon Eitzel Makkos. The guy who gets flogged, he doesn't pay. It's either flogging or paying. You know, Kedei Rishasol teaches us he only gets flogged and not paid. Af Rosh Shemar Mechuyve. Here it should be Misa. He's liable to death penalty. Ein Momon Eitzel Misa. There is no money by Misa. Now what that means is, again, according to Shar Teres Yisrael, you're samech that wherever there is wherever there's one, you can only have one penalty and not the other. Only one and not the other. You can't have both penalties. So therefore, since that is the case, if you have Eidim where Huchashul B'Sof Huzmu, so Lo Sana Bre'acha Eid Shoker, actually it should be Ein Malchus Eid Zomim. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe it should be Ein Malchus Eid Zomim. Ein Makkos Eid Zomim. I'm not sure. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't check. I might have been supposed to change that gears as well. But let me tell you the bottom line is. The bottom line is quite simple. According to the way the Lord Sugiyat said about Alf, there's a penalty for it. Right? Kasher Zomim is also a penalty for it. You can only have one penalty and not the other. If one penalty devolves upon you, the one of Lo Sana Bre'acha Shoker he holds, you can't go to the next penalty of Misa. That's a holds. If you want to muchashim, there is no azama afterwards. So Rabbi Yochanan holds it's a very interesting machlokas. Rabbi Yochanan holds you slide from choshen to azama and you can kill the guy. If you stop that for a chosh, all you have to do is pay money or get flogged or whatever it was. But nevertheless, once you came to Eidim Zomim, you kill him. That's a natural progression or regression. According to Rabbi Lezer, no. Since you can't be chai both, and since when he was a muchash, you already became liable to, let's say, Malchus. Let's stipulate it's Malchus. So therefore, that stops his his trajectory, he can never reach a chiyuv misa. Hachosh is not chilas hazama. Again, that's although the reason they're not given this way in the Bible, there's a similar machlokas in the Bible as well. Now, Lamaisa, this Yerushalmi till now, this is the first time we're learning Makkos Yerushalmi. This comes as no shock to you, I know, but I don't know what Yerushalmi Shita about Lav Shem Lamaisa is. Because Yerushalmi, this whole story is going to Lo Sana B'Rei Choyed Shoker being a flagful offense. So I'm not sure what Yerushalmi is. I mean, this is from Mishnah, as far as I recall, Lav Shem Lamaisa ain't lo kana love, but maybe Yerushalmi Pasuk is lo kana love. Because again, Ramad Alpha said, the Yerushalmi began with this the thing that Lo Sana B'Rei Choyed Shoker is a penalty and Kasher Zama is a penalty. Let's go deeper some ice, right? We don't know. We don't know yet because we haven't seen enough yet. Maybe they'll deeper some ice attack. And here, they're saying also that once you get into, according to Rabbi Elazar, once you get into Achosha, since it has its own penalty, you can't slide further into Azam. Okay. Says Moravaita, Bar Pedoya Amar. Bar Pedoya explains the end of our mission. It says you can't go into Golus in lieu of the person against whom you testified that he was a Rotzeh B'Shogeg. Hu Yarus, he flees. Lo Zomim, not Deidim Zomim. Now, at the very end of the Mishnah, that's why the Eid Zomim doesn't go to near Miklat. Now, in the Bible, there's a lot of discussion about that. Because there's Kosev. Who Yanus? Only the Rotzeh B'Shogeg himself goes. That's the who. Who Yanus? That specific drasha to preclude Kasher Zama. It's a milk crazy, or it's not necessary, and it's used to preclude. Okay? You don't have to, it's not necessarily logical, it transcends logic. Says if they testify that he divorced his wife, didn't pay her ksuva, and they were lying, they don't pay all the ksuva. They pay the benefit of the ksuva, the speculative value of it. Kate's at house, so Omer, we say, how much does a person want to pay for this ksuva? Maybe, because maybe she'll die during her husband's lifetime, you're Shena Bala, and then her husband will inherit her. Or maybe her husband will die in her lifetime. And he's buying the ksuva on that eventuality. Based on the ksuva's value in the open market right now to the woman, that's what he pays. Okay, and probably it's a three-way machlokus, whether you pay based on what's worth to him in the open market, what's worth to her in the open market, what's worth to her based on something else. I don't remember the strategy, but here it's just basically what it would be worth to her in the open market. That's what they pay the ksuva, the value of that to the husband. Okay, because they lost him that chance that he might have to not have to pay it off. Okay, says Halacha Beis. Minimum of Ish Ploni. We testify concerning so and so. Is that cold? Okay. Minimum of Ish Ploni. Nice and warm. There's a heater here, though. If you want to. Minimum of Ish Ploni. That water's still hot from last night. It's still warm. Yeah. Minimum, that's a good thing. That thing, whatever it is. Minimum of Ish Ploni. We testify about so and so. Shuchai v'chaver elef zuz. That he owes his friend $1,000. I'm not saying them kanvat shloshim yom, and he has to pay back within 30 days. Vu Omer, the defendant said, no, it's true I took out $1,000 loan, but I only took it out for 10 years, for 10 years, not for 30 days. So what are they going to pay? The $10,000 he owes, right? They didn't lie about that. They lied about the due date. So what do they pay? Only a kama adam rotzalitei. We reckon how much a person wants. This is in line with the previous mission by Ksula. Only we reckon how much a person rotzalitei want to pay. If you have in order to retain $1,000 for 10 years instead of 30 days, and that's what they pay. The difference between having to pay back within 30 days, and to have to pay back after 10 years, and that's what they have to pay. If they testify that Yankel owed Beryl $200, when they came out to be Edim Zoyman, Lokin, they get flogged, Umishalmi. Why is that? Shalo Hashem Avil de Makkos V'dei Tashlumi, because it's two separate responsibilities. One is for Makkos Losana B'Yechoyed Shoker, and the other is for Kasher Zoma, right? The Chachomim Kom Sham ain't a loket. Anytime you pay, you do not get flogged. Again, not because of Lav Shem Omai, but because whenever you pay, don't get flogged. Meeting on a beach ploni, Shuchai Makkos Arboim. It testified that Yankel is owed 40 lashes. It turned out there is Yankel's not owed any lashes. Log Mishmoni. They get flogged twice. Mishum Lo Sana Brei Choy Choker, because of Lo Sana, Mishum because it's no Kachar Zom, they got both penalties, Divrei Mer, against the previous Mishnah. Chachor remain consistent with their Shita, Ein Lokim El Arboim. They only get 40 lashes, there is no double lashes. And you divide up monetary obligations among the Ein Zomim, but not flogging obligations. Okay, it's also. They testified he owes for friends $200. These are only they found to be in Zomim. They split when it must be paid to the person against whom they testify. However, they testify is liable for 40 lashes. Due to Zomim, they found to be Zomim. Each one of them gets 40 lashes. Okay, you divide up money, but you don't divide up Makkos. Now the Hokamar here to the next Mishnah. We had way back when, years ago, when we learned Masechta Shavuos. Okay, this I'm not holding responsible because I didn't remember it either. But I mean vaguely, because it's in the Yerushalmi, probably also. But in any event, Rav Master B'Shem Rav all said, Hamavas Chaver, they also named Rav. Hamavas Chaver Amnashlo told somebody loans his friend money on the condition stipulation that he won't demand it. In other words, it's a loan, but he doesn't have the right to demand it. Whenever he gets paid back, he'll get paid back. Now, nevertheless, Shvius Misham Tosin. Nevertheless, Shemitah cancels this loan. That's a chiddush, because normally Shemitah only cancels a loan which is outstanding during Shemitah, at the end of Shemitah, like this year. And this loan is not outstanding because he said he's never going to demand it. So why is Shemitah cancel that loan? Says why would you say such a thing? Top base them out. But didn't we learn? Hashogit is apara. Somebody who slaughters a cow. In a case like this, actually, Mishnah, the beginning of the last paragraph of Shavuos, says you own a cow. You, the butcher, own a cow. The butcher owns a cow. And he slaughters on the first day of Rosh Hashanah for his customers. Now, the thing is, the customers don't pay him money because it's Rosh Hashanah. And they don't weigh the meat either because it's Rosh Hashanah. So it just distributes and approximates, right? Now, it turns out the next day, this is a Rosh Hashanah of the year after Shemitah. Turns out the next day, they find out that Beis Din made the year a leap year. So actually, yesterday wasn't Rosh Hashanah. When was the Rosh Hashanah? It really took place at Rosh Hashanah. They thought it was Rosh Hashanah, but it really took place at Rosh Hashanah. Right. Okay. So it's Shemitah cancels that loan. So that. Yeah, well, it's credit, but it's like a loan. So it becomes like a loan. Now Rabbi Lezer said about that, Rabbi Huda. No, that's Rabbi Huda. Rabbi Yehuda, it's like a loan. But Rabbanan disagree. Rabbanan hold Roy Latov Rosh Hashanah. Can he demand his loan on Rosh Hashanah? He cannot, right? He can't collect on Rosh Hashanah. So therefore, it's like a loan which is not yet due, right? It's a loan which is not yet due. So therefore, there's no Shemitah doesn't cancel because Shemitah only cancels loans which are due, not loans which are not due. So that's a contradiction because we just said it on based of a kasha that I'm not shalom to lotov Shvius. Shvius is Misham Toso. Said even if you can't claim it, Shemitah cancels it. So how come here by the cow, right? How come here the cow? Rabbanan hold that the Shemitah does not cancel it. Here too, we can collect. I make myself clear. I don't know. But it's a contradiction. It's a steer. The Gemara saying it's a steer. It's a contradiction. That the bottom it said Shemitah is Mishamid, and here it says Shemitah is not Mishamid. So it says Gemara Kaidamar. I'll tell you what the answer is. Kaidamar Rabbi Bar B'Shem Rabbi Zira. Now, in the next two word lines, you have She'eno 4 times, and the Gemara in Shvius has Shehu instead of She'eno 4 times. And one of them, unfortunately, I think Moshe wants to change here, but I don't want to change all of them. I'm going to change 2 and leave 2. Okay? This is my initiative, and I think I'm right. Shocker there, right? So it says, the Gemara, what's the case? Mikavon, says Gemara, a very cool thing. Mikavon, now this should be She'eno. Can you demand payment from your customers in Rosh Hashanah if you sell them something? You can't, right? You can't even weigh it out to them. You have to approximate it. You can't even mention a price. You'll say, we'll take care of it after Yontif. Oh, so there Rabbanan would hold that's not Mishamit. You know why? Because he can't collect it until after Yontif. And even turns out that it wasn't Yontif. He's still not aware that he can collect. None of them are aware he can collect. That's a different ballgame. That's the way to read it. Became a chain royal Tova, since you can't demand the money because of Yontif. Kimi, and here it's changed it to Shavu, Roel Amino. Here it's all you can do is believe the guy. It's not even really credit. It's trust. Must be foolhardy trust. Might be foolhardy trust, but it's trust, right? Kimi Shavu Roel Amino. If it came on, and here again Shavu Roel Amino, since he has to be based on credibility, on belief, not on hard notes. So, or whatever. Kimi, here it should be she'eno, like it is in front of us. Can be she'eno roy liti lamos. It's as if the loan doesn't yet exist. The loan actually only comes into effect the day after Rosh Hashanah. Because on Rosh Hashanah you can't demand it. He can't pay it. There's no way of guesstimating the loan. You can only approximate. They can't give a specific price. You can't wait. You can only approximate. So it says the Gemara, Vikan, here, however, by the case where a guy takes the loan with the stipulation that the other guy won't demand it back, he can pay back any time. We know the value of the loan. We know the value of the loan. We know the extent of the loan. The fact that he gave him a right not to pay back doesn't mean he's not. There is no lilios. And the way the Kavanaki brings it down, I forget from who, he says, because every time I pass in the street, I get uncomfortable about him. Because I know he loaned me money. I know I don't have to pay him back, yes, but I know I'm obligated to him. Suppose the guy who bought in the store doesn't feel bad because he doesn't know what to pay. So therefore, there's no problem here. There's no Eved Level Ishmael syndrome, that he is subservient to the other guy. Okay? That's what Gemara says. Vikan. However, Roy Litilamos Velonas on here, where the guy loaned the money at Kaddish, he won't demand the loan, but still, you couldn't give him back the money the first day. So there, when he didn't give it back, not the Yerushalmi Milva, then from the get-go becomes a classic loan. Rabbi Yosef Abu Mishem Rav said, Hamavas Chavero, if a person gives his friend a loan, Hamanash Shalot Yishmeten or Shvis on condition that Shemitah won't cancel the debt, it should take out the word Ein, Pnei Moshe and the Gemara Shemitah takes it out. Hashvis does the Shemitah cancel debt, because what did he try to do, this fellow? Tried to be master mashkos b'Torah. You tried to pretend there's no Shemitah Torah. You have no right to do that. Master mashkos b'Torah, to know about them, right? Says the more I don't stand. But didn't we learn? Nos bein nos non mikan v'ad shlish yom minos mikan v'ad eser shonim. Our mission said that you reckon for 8 something the difference between holding on to money for 30 days and holding on for 10 years. Wait a minute! If your Shemitah cancels all debts, how can you have a loan outstanding for 10 years? Also, Pavli's kasha. No such thing as a loan for 10 years, right? So there are 2 answers. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Yitzpal, Rav Nachman Rashesh, the Nachman Rashesh argued that answers. Chanam Rav Mavla Mashkon, a loan on collateral supersedes the 10 years, the Shemitah. The Mashkon transcends Shemitah, or the Choramar, because they're below Prusbul. The reason why it's transcends Shemitah is because they wrote a Prusbul. Okay? Says in our time we learned Shleshim Yom Lo Isei. 30 days he cannot come. And this is the principle which we have, the Gemara is going to explain. Mao Shleshim Yom Lo Isei, what does it mean 30 days he cannot come? Shmuel Amar Marvus Chaver Stam, if somebody loans his friend generically, without naming a time frame, and Rosh Hashanah Shleshim Yom. He's not allowed to demand it back until 30 days have elapsed. Stam milveh, it's Shloshim Yom, right? Says Rabbi Yehuda Omar. Rabbi Yehuda came in and gave a pasuk for this, a very weird pasuk. Well, he had it back in Shemitah as well. Korva Shnasa Sheva Shnasa Shemitah. The Torah says to you know what? The 7th year, the Shemitah year is coming close, right? So it says more. It's redundant. Lo Ishnasa Sheva Yishnasa Shemitah. It's the same thing. 7th year Shemitah year. Matam will recover Shnasa Sheva Shmasa Shemitah. Why does it say twice? It says more. Turning the page. Interesting thing. Shulol Tam shouldn't say. This guy saying, Pnei Moshe explains it.
saying El Rosh Hashanah. I mean, Erev Rosh Chodesh Elul. And his friend comes and says, then Yaakov, can I borrow some money from you? So he makes a cheshbon. He thinks, what's going to happen? 30 days. I now have the next 30 days to collect it. What's going to happen when I get a chance to collect it? Rosh Hashanah Shemitah, it's going to be canceled. So the Torah is saying, don't say Korva Shnasa Sheva, that another 30 days it's going to be Shemitah. When am I going to collect my loan? Loan him anyway, even though you're going to lose the money. Now, of course, the obvious question is if you can demand your money back during the 30 days, so how's he going to lose his money? Let him demand it back after day 15. So it must be a Taka can't demand him loan back until 30 days have elapsed, right? That's what it says. We are. That's why we made Prusbul. This is before the Prusbul came out. It's the Torah itself. Don't say don't say 30 days I won't be able to claim it. Then after 30 days, the loan's going to be canceled. That's what it has to say. That from Rosh Chodesh Elul, make sure not to disengage your friend in loans. Make sure to loan him money if you need so. Overcoming Yitzhara and give him the money. Okay, Rabbi Isai. I didn't prepare to the Mishnahs where I got up to. To be honest and bored with you, I had 3 hours at the dentist tonight. So therefore, we'll stop here.